subscribe button if you like everything you are hearing. I want to, you were born in, I always ask you this, 57?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 57. So you were around 11, if my math serves me correctly, when MLK was assassinated, correct?
Yeah,
Does that sound about right? Okay.
Yeah.
As an 11-year-old, what do you remember about Martin Luther King? Obviously, in hindsight, we know everything about him, but in real time back then, what did you know about MLK, first of all? And secondly, were your parents like telling you about this crazy guy down in Selma, Alabama, who's getting hit with rocks because he's marching to the Capitol for our civil rights and things like that?
Well, see, in my house, it was kind of a divide because you had Martin Luther King and Malcolm X around the same time.
Ooh, even better. Keep going.
And like so many households or so many families, especially black families, religion divides families like it's nobody's business. Okay, my family was divided by religion, not so much my mom and dad, but just my close family overall. I had cousins that were Jehovah's Witness. We was Catholic. We grew up Catholic. My cousin's Jehovah's Witness. My mom, she wasn't Catholic. Neither my mom or dad was Catholic, but we went to Catholic school, which made us Catholic. And then Martin, Dr. King, he's doing the Christian Baptist thing, and Malcolm is doing the Muslim thing, and that was like a divide of the whole country because you had some folks who agreed with Malcolm. They got tired of getting turning the other cheek, and they kept kicking you in that one too. Then they was like, Martin is non-violent, and he's got the Bible, but he getting his ass whooped every weekend, and dogs and water hoses and shit. And so folks like, man, I'm not doing that no more. So that was kind of the sentiment to a certain degree. But I never forget when he died, when he got killed, man. My mama cried like a baby, dude. My mama cried like it was one of her own kids. Okay. When they killed Malcolm, it was like stunning, but it was less impactful because maybe they felt that may have happened because of how he was speaking or how he was, it's like, unfortunately, if something happened to Charleston White, I figured somebody gonna get his ass.
Right.
Unfortunately, that is the sentiment. Yeah, I told that nigga he's calm his ass down some. And it's almost the same thing when it comes to Malcolm versus Martin. Martin had the church behind him. He was leading, he spoke, he was a pastor of a church. He was Bible toting church, he was a Christian man. And Malcolm was a Muslim, that was an ex-pimp, and people knew his history. So some cases it made him more attractive to some. In some cases, it made him less attractive. But nonetheless, it's still they both had a mutual impact. It's just my mom. I remember she cried. She was like, she just rocked my little brother and sit there and cried for hours because that's what she believed in. That's something she was following.
Yeah. So looking back now, hindsight being 2020 and everything, whose message does Lonzo more, I guess, agree with, or do you agree with them equally, or who would you say had a stronger impact, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King?
I'm kind of in the middle, man, because I'd like to try and negotiate something that made some sense, but don't push me. No, don't push me. I don't want to be pushed. Okay, because I don't. I mean, and that's just any real man, whether it be the streets or just logic itself. I mean, hey man, let's do something. Let's go make some sense for everybody to be safe. But don't tell me you just can't do it any old kind of way. That's and that's where my teaching, my mindset has gone as a grown man. Even when I was younger, dude, I don't want to do nothing to you, but I will if I have to. I'm not going to do nothing to me. That's for goddamn sure. And that's just scenarios of hood life, and that's why I tend to stay away from a lot of shit. I don't get involved in certain shit. I will not comment on certain people because they're gonna try and start some shit because they need, people are desperate for likes and comments and shares and shit. And I'm too old for that shit. Bottom line, if we can't talk like we got some sense, I don't want to talk. But that's not, if we're gonna go someplace else, I don't want to go there either because you might not like when we get there. I didn't get this.
Yeah. Let's get to some questions, and I didn't copy the names of a couple of them, so my bad. But someone says, Lonzo, do you prefer Slave to Cameo? All right, so tell us a little bit about Slave. I'm not familiar with Slave. What songs?
Slave?
I mean, I probably know the songs. I have to take that back, but give me a couple.
Somebody know Lonzo real well. Somebody, who dropped that question?
I don't know. I can't even. I'll try to find it. Go ahead.
Somebody knows Lonzo very well because in my phone, most of my songs are funk related. Okay, I love Cameo. But one thing I loved about Steve Arrington and Slave gave you some music for thought. Okay. One of my personal theme songs that Slave had, I listened to it this morning when I was walking. It's like caffeine for me, man. It's like drinking a cup of coffee. When I hear Steve Arrington's "Can't Nobody Be You But You," that's my song. Okay. Nobody Could Be You But You. Cameo got some great funk shit. Okay. I like Slave's drums and horn arrangements a little bit better, and I'm probably a little bit more fonder of Steve Arrington's voice over Larry Blackman. Okay, I played Cameo more in events, but I played Slave more personal. So it's damn near a tie, man. But I'm gonna have to say Slave.
Have you ever been to any of their shows? Either one of them?
Yeah, I went to Slave shows back in the day. In fact, I had a chance to even meet Steve Arrington. We were in the studio together one day, and he's a very cool dude, man. He was a very cool dude, and I saw him on a buddy of mine podcast. I was trying to get him on the show, but we hadn't been able to connect yet. But yeah, he's a different kind of dude. Now he's a born again Christian. And he had a song called "Lost and Found." It sounds just like, and he did to that song what I wish somebody would bring back. He made it funky with a thought-provoking hook. It was called "Lost and Found." Okay, he was talking about how he was lost and now he's found, and he did it just like he does his regular music. And when I heard it again, they took it to a digital studio, and I think they must have bleached all the funk out the shit, man, because it was fucked up. When I first heard the demo, I loved that shit. That was one of the big things I hated about the digital age, when they went from digital to analog. It got real tinny for a while. It got real, all the bass and all the low frequencies were washed out before they had the plug-ins to make it right again. And they was in the digital studio and they had all this stuff. And it sounded like it went from being Steve Arrington to Steve Arrington on some Mickey Mouse instruments, and I didn't care for it.
Okay. Everybody's giving me shit in the comments for not knowing who Slave is. My bad, guys. I'm sure I know all of their songs. I'm one of those guys who I know a billion songs. I just don't know who sings the motherfucker.
Yeah.
My apologies, guys.
Yeah. I mean, at Eve After Dark, when I would start doing my DJ set, they knew it was me because the first thing I'm gonna play is "Watching You" by Slave. Walking down the streets. Watching
I know that song. I've been watching you. See, I know my shit now.
Okay. I said in Slide. That was one of the first songs I ever played, 1977, 78. That's when they first hit, about 77. That's probably why I like them so much, because they came out right around the same time I did. And it was one of the first songs one of the first songs that I remember playing as a beginning DJ was Slide, okay, and then they had a 12-inch version that was a mother. That's when they make a record for 10 minutes, okay, and that's just was the shit, man. That shit would go on forever. But of all them, don't ask about George Clinton versus Slave and Cameo, because George gonna win every time, okay. George ain't made no sense since the 70s, but I like that crazy ass shit.
He said it ain't made no sense since the 70s.
This song ain't had no social redeeming factor since the 70s. Okay. I've been into George Clinton since man. Since he had a Papa-Doo. Okay. When he had a Papa-Doo, he was the doo-wop singer. He had this group called the Parliaments. Okay. And they had a song, one of their songs was called "Shit, Goddamn, Get Off Your Ass and Jam." Boy, we couldn't play that record out loud. We had to play it in the car. Shit, goddamn, get off your ass and jam. And he talking about maggots and worms and shit. And okay, nigga, what is it? But we like that shit.